So you may have heard about the new sound technology Dolby Atmos. It's the latest and greatest sound technology used in both movie theaters and in home theaters. So today I'm going to share some details with you about Dolby Atmos and how you can make the most of it in your own home theater. So home theater sound systems and surround sound systems have been around for years, and there's been different developments in technologies over the years, and Dolby Atmos is just the latest iteration of that. It has a couple advancements that are really cool, but like with any new technology, it's important to have the right equipment to take advantage of this new technology. And so Dolby Atmos is used in both movie theaters and in home theaters, but Dolby Atmos takes your sound system to a whole new level because it optimizes the sound for your specific setup as long as you have the right receiver and equipment and everything. So how this works is instead of a typical surround sound system where sounds in your media are tied to specific speakers in your sound system, Dolby Atmos ties these certain sounds to specific areas of your room. And the other thing that Dolby Atmos does, which is unique, is it allows for height channels where you can have this special Dolby Atmos effect where you could have sounds going overhead, above you, and behind you and around you as well. And so you could have, a whole section of your room like above you filled up with certain sounds that really make a more immersive experience with your movies. And that's one of the benefits of 4K physical media as well, like 4K Blu-ray, is a lot of times those media formats will include a Dolby Atmos track that's been mixed specifically for that movie and really will take advantage of your Atmos setup in your home theater. I really appreciate Dolby Atmos, especially with action movies and sci-fi movies, because you really notice the effects of this technology when you have something that's moving around on the screen, like a helicopter flying over you, or if you watch a movie like King Kong or Godzilla or something like that, where the monsters are fighting or going all over the screen, then you'll really notice kind of the movement that's happening and sound going over you. And then especially if you had like multiple subwoofers or something, you'll feel that bass, and then you'll feel where the sound's moving around. It's just a really cool experience to kind of take the whole surround sound structure to a whole new level with the different spaces in the room. So you may be thinking, that sounds cool, but I don't want to spend a bunch of extra money on a bunch of extra expensive equipment. And I hear you, but there are a lot of options to where you can take advantage of this technology without spending a ton of money. And while, of course, to take full advantage of this technology, you'll want to have a full surround sound system where you have height channels and height speakers and the most amount of speakers possible and the best quality speakers possible and all that. But really, we're seeing Dolby Atmos technology being used in more and more inexpensive speaker sets, including even sound bars, interestingly enough. So depending on the size of your space, you could probably get a much smaller scale, less expensive setup and still have a great improvement over your non-Dolby Atmos technology you were using before. So the first main thing you're going to need if you want to experience Dolby Atmos content is some kind of content that takes advantage of it, like a streaming service like Apple TV, where they put a Dolby Atmos track on some of their content. But the best way is through a 4K Blu-ray, where there's going to be a lot more data on that disc for the Atmos track than you get with something like a streaming service where it's compressed. And so ideally, your best format for experiencing Dolby Atmos will be a 4K Blu-ray. And next, obviously, you're going to have speakers for this. Even older speakers, though, will work with this technology as long as you have the proper receiver. And really, the receiver is going to be what makes this magic happen, so to speak, if it's Atmos compatible. Even your older speakers that you've had for years, if they're good quality, will be able to use this. It's just a matter of how the sound is produced and where it's produced, more so than what the speakers do specifically. And you may be wondering how these cheaper sound systems and sound bars are using this technology. And well, I don't think a soundbar is going to produce the full Atmos experience you'd have with height channel speakers. What they typically do is a soundbar will have these small up-firing speakers from the soundbar that are designed to shoot sound up to the ceiling and bounce off of the ceiling to produce a similar effect to what height channel speakers would have. And of course, that's not going to work as well as actual height channel speakers, but in my own setup, I have tower speakers that have large up-firing speakers on the top of them, and I do notice a difference with those. So a soundbar would just be doing that on a smaller scale, and if your space where you're listening is small enough and enclosed enough, you're still probably going to notice some effect from that, just not to the same extent that you would with true height channel speakers mounted to the ceiling. So now with all the discussion of how Atmos works and what you would need to upgrade in order to use Atmos, there's still the question of, is it worth it? And for me, I wanted to try it out. I wanted to upgrade my own sound system in order to take advantage of this. And so I wanted to kind of share a little bit about my experience with sound systems and what I decided to do and how you can find a good deal for yourself. So for me, for years, I was just using a basic, inexpensive soundbar setup that had a basic soundbar. I think it was from Vizio with 2 small satellite speakers and a small subwoofer. And for a long time in a small space, that worked adequately enough for me. But then after a while, once I bought a house and I had a bigger space for my setup and I had a 77-inch LG TV and OLED, I wanted to take advantage of a better sound system. So around last year's Black Friday in 2023, I took advantage of some sales that were happening at Costco where I was able to get basically like a full Atmos setup from Costco for around $1,000. And it was kind of like a package deal they had with some great clip speakers. There's 2 tower speakers I had. You can see all these speakers in my home theater walkthrough video I did. Has a center channel speaker, 2 side channel satellite speakers. And in addition to that, I picked up a Denon receiver that's Atmos compatible. And through doing all of this, and then also I picked up a Klipsch subwoofer, which is great. Doing all this, I really noticed a difference right away with gaming. So playing games on my PS5 and my Xbox Series X, when you just move a character around the screen, you hear the sound moving around you, and it was a huge upgrade over the soundbar I had previously. And then in addition to that, watching 4K content, some 4K content is always better than others in terms of one 4K movie release is going to have a much better track than another Atmos track on a different one. But a lot of the time, if a 4K Blu-ray actually has a audio track on it that uses Dolby Atmos, it's going to be far superior to any regular surround sound track you had on a regular Blu-ray. And it's just crazy to hear the difference with certain titles. I remember watching the movie Mortal Engines, which a lot of people think that's not the best movie, but there's some really incredible scenes in there to where I really loved hearing some of the characters' voices and just hearing some of the certain scenes with this awesome Dolby Atmos track. And so once you get some quality speakers, then you really can take advantage of this technology, and it can really blow your mind. You really feel more like you're in a movie theater with a good sound system. And I think you almost appreciate this technology more at home than you do in a movie theater, because movie theaters have had a ton of speakers in them and in varying the latest technology for all these years. And I think when you bring some of this technology into your own home, you appreciate it so much more with your own media, and you can take advantage of it so much more often. So I think if you could find a deal that's within your budget, definitely go for this over some of the other upgrades in your home theater. Like, I would say that this is one of the best things you can do for your home theater to really enjoy it more. But ultimately, this decision is up to you whether you think upgrading your sound system to Dolby Atmos capable hardware is worth it for you. If you're someone who just watches streaming services and DVDs, this may not be as beneficial for you. But if you really want to have the best sound possible, Dolby Atmos is an incredible technology, and I can't wait to see what they do with it next and what releases get great Atmos tracks next, because each movie and each sound system is going to be a little bit different, but I really love hearing other people's sound systems too. And as someone who just enjoys movies, I really like 4K Blu-rays because of the Atmos tracks that they have. And so let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on Dolby Atmos, if you like watching movies with Atmos tracks, and if you think the upgrade in your equipment is worth it. And if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe buttons down below to hear about more videos I have releasing.